Today's lesson is on changing from standard to factored form. So let's take a look at example number 1. So here we have a quadratic equation in standard form. The form is ax squared plus bx plus c. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to identify my a value, which in this case is 1, my b value, which is 3, and my c value, which is -4. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to factor this using what I like to call the X factor. It's one of my favorite TV shows. It's no longer on air. But I draw an X and we multiply A times C to get our top number. This is a graphic organizer for factoring. So 1 times -4, and then the B value goes at the bottom, which is 3. Next is what I like to call the Sudoku method, because you kind of have to use some numbers and figure out what two numbers multiply to give us -4 and what two same numbers add to give us 3. So we're going to use 4 and -1. 4 times -1 is -4. 4 plus -1 is 3. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to apply the A value on top. So we're going to make a fraction line on top of those numbers. A value is 1, so the A value goes on top of the fraction. The next thing we want to do is we want to simplify or reduce these fractions if possible. Both fractions are reduced, so we're ready to write factored form. So y equals the first number, the number on top, is what's going to go with the x. So 1x plus 4. Since the 4 is positive, we use a plus. The next factor, the 1 goes with the x minus 1. And this is our answer in factored form. If we multiply these together, we get x times x, which is x squared. And then the inner is 4x, and the outer is -1x, which makes 3x when you combine them. And then the last terms, 4 times -1 is -4. So we know we have the right answer. Now, why would we want to go to factored form? We would want to go to factored form to get the roots, which are located here and here. So to get the roots, you're going to take the opposite of this number, which is -4. That would represent one of the roots. And the opposite of -1 is +1. And that is the other root. So if you look at the poster at the front of the room, factored form looks like this. So you can see that in the form it's minus. So in order to get a plus, we'd have a minus and a -4. So there is your root, -4. And then here is our other root, which is 1. So let's take a look at example 2. Okay, so we're going to pull out the A value, the B value, and the C value. A, B, C. Going to draw our X. A times C goes on top. B goes on the bottom. I'm going to make my fraction lines. So two numbers that multiply to give us -6 and add to give us -1. So it looks like -6. Let's see. My mind just went blank. Let's see. How about -3 and 2? Okay, so -3 times 2, -6, -3 plus 2, -1. And do you remember what we put on top? That's correct. Good job. 2. Nice memory, Chris. Now, what do we do next? Well, yes, we reduce the fraction if we can. So this one's reduced. This one can be reduced to 1/1. Never reduce your fraction to an integer. Always keep it in fraction form. So the next thing we want to do is we want to write our answer. So our first factor, remember that the top number goes with the x, and then -3. Top number, using our reduced fraction, top number goes with the x, plus 1. And there's our answer in factored form. Now, if we wanted to get the roots here, we would have to factor a 2 out in order to get it into intercept form. So right here we can see that this root is -1, 0. But to get this root, we would have to factor the 2 out. 2 goes into 2 one time, 2 goes into 3 1.5 times. So our other root would be 1.5, 0. Okay, well, I hope you guys are having a good night. I see that Matthew and Ivory are here for tutoring, so I've got to go. Bye-bye.